ISO 9001-2015 is now available. The question that everyone is asking is what brings the new standard and how it affects my quality management system. In this video, we'll talk about the most important changes and how they might affect the operation of your quality management system already in place. Then we will see the benefits you could get implementing the requirements of the standard and consider some strategies for the successful completion of the transition process. All standards must be updated to keep up with the progress of the organizations that use them and because of changes in the context in which they operate. ISO standards, in principle, should be updated every 5 years. 7 years have passed since the last ISO 9001 revision. Let's take a moment to recall the evolution of this standard since its first publication in 1987. Since its publication 29 years ago, the ISO 9000 series, consisting of ISO 9000, 9001, and 9004, has been consistently the most popular ISO standard. In retrospect, this series of standards has been incredibly successful in promoting quality management worldwide. Through its use, it has firmly established a common language that allows all kinds of organizations to communicate about all aspects of quality in products and services. Millions of organizations worldwide have implemented systems to manage quality. It is obvious, then, that this revision will affect both those organizations and the people who work directly or indirectly with them. ISO 9001-1987 was oriented on how to ensure that the products in manufacturing processes meet customer requirements. Procedures-oriented, the standard was largely inspection and testing. The focus was more on compliance with procedures in the management of processes, which has resulted in a divorce of quality with business processes and creation of bureaucracy. Management did not involve itself because the system consisted only in maintaining procedures and records up to date, and that was seen as distracting attention away from business. The 1994 revision introduced the concept of preventive action, inviting organizations to look forward to prevent future nonconformities. But emphasis is maintained on procedures. Procedures were the stars of certification. The content and application of the procedures were the cause of many nonconformities during audits. A major change occurred in the year 2000. Emphasis was directed to the processes of the organization and the concept of continual improvement through the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, integrating quality management in the overall management of the organization. The 2008 revision clarified certain requirements, but it was not a real evolution of the standard. Quality management consisted mainly in passing routine internal audits and audits by certification auditors. The 2015 revision introduced new concepts in the management system and other changes in order to adapt the system to the changing business world, where the context of the organization, with its risks and opportunities, is a key factor in planning the quality management system. Let's take a closer look at the main objectives of the review. Well, after its initial publication 29 years ago, the standard has been revised and updated 3 times, and already 7 years have passed since the last time. Obviously, the world has changed in many ways, especially in the areas of technology and communication. Although the basic principles remain the rule, its application necessarily has to take into account changes in how to manage an organization in modern times and, if possible, in the future. The main objective of the review is to provide a set of common and stable requirements for at least the next 10 years. This will be possible thanks to the requirement that all management system standards use the same high-level structure for a base. The new standard should remain generic and applicable to all types of organizations and sectors. It should facilitate the implementation of the management system in organizations of any type, size, complexity, and discipline. The term product is replaced by products and services in an attempt to reinforce that ISO 9001 is applicable to all suppliers, not just those that provide physical products. Another objective is to take into account the increasingly complex environments in which organizations now operate and changes in management practices, systems, and technology that have taken place since the year 2000 review. The new standard aims to promote an integrated management approach for all kinds of systems, facilitating their integration and aiming at improving both the effectiveness and efficiency. Last but very important since its first publication, continue with its intention to continuously improve the ability of organizations to meet the needs and expectations of its customers. In many ways, the main one is with the adoption of a common high-level structure for all management system standards. Let's see what this means. All management system standards, new or revised, have as a common base the high-level structure defined in Annex SL of ISO-specific procedures contained in the consolidated ISO supplement to the ISO IEC Directives Part 1. Don't be alarmed by the title. It is simply a procedure, but one that is becoming very important. Let's see its contents in more detail. The development of international standards is ISO's main objective. The consolidated ISO supplement contains all the rules to be followed by ISO committees involved in the development of international standards, including those related to management systems. Of all the annexes to the consolidated supplement, Annex SL contains the requirements for the development of new management system standards, including standards for generic sectorial management systems. Annex SL high-level structure, identical basic text, and basic common terms and definitions that form the core of future ISO management system standards or existing at the time of review. The new management system standards and the updating of existing ones will all be based on this high-level structure, complemented and adjusted for the requirements and needs of different specific disciplines, both generic, that is quality, environment, occupational health and safety, etc., and sectorial, such as oil and gas, automotive, etc. Generic requirements and guidelines such as risk management, explanatory notes, and references to other standards may be added when necessary. The proposed high-level structure in Annex SL for all ISO management system includes, in addition to the usual 3 introductory clauses, 7 basic clauses common to all management system standards. They are context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. In ISO 9001, they will replace, for example, existing clauses 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It is intended that this structure provides a consistent presentation of requirements rather than a model for documentation of policies, objectives, and processes of an organization. The PDCA cycle is most evident in the new structure and remains the basis for the requirements of the quality management system, from planning to operation, support, performance evaluation, and improvement. The subclauses reflect all the requirements of the previous standard, but in a more explicit and comprehensive way. As you can see, there are also new clauses and subclauses, such as context of the organization, and others with new titles, such as leadership and performance evaluation. The key changes reside in new and modified earlier requirements and more explicit requirements. Let's have a look at the most important. Major changes begin by requiring the organization to explicitly identify internal and external issues that may affect the capacity of its quality management system to deliver the expected results. The needs and expectations of interested parties, that is, those individuals and organizations that can be affected by, or who think they might be affected by decisions or activities of the organization, should also be understood and taken into account. To manage and operate with a process approach is no longer a suggestion, but a requirement of the standard. It will be necessary to redefine the way to manage business processes, management processes, and support processes, and related risks and opportunities. The risk of default will have to be identified and managed in a planned manner. This topic has generated much discussion about its interpretation and compliance, but in general, it is an issue that should concern any organization, and many are already taking steps to minimize or avoid risks, but maybe not documenting them. Since documentation of risks is not a requirement, your organization will have to find a way to explain to auditors how you are managing this issue. The new standard emphasizes in several clauses that all relevant changes to the quality management system should be planned and controlled. Companies that, by the nature of their activities, have many unplanned changes will also have to make an effort to control them. New emphasis on establishing quality objectives in relevant functions, levels, and processes. The requirement that they be relevant to the conformity of products and services and customer satisfaction means that quality objectives must be integrated into business objectives. Planning and control of the operation of the processes of the organization to achieve quality and business objectives is a consistent and effective manner will require a good knowledge of the context of the organization and related risks and opportunities. Good question. Obviously, if the organization makes an effort to implement and meet the new requirements, it is entitled to expect some benefits. The standard will help you become a more consistent competitor, anticipating risks and opportunities for a more robust and competitive business. The standard will help you better manage your organization by requiring the integration of quality objectives into your business objectives, which will enable effective performance from the point of view of both the company and its customers. The change to more functional and objective-driven, less prescriptive operational requirements allow the design and implementation of a quality management system with a better fit to the organization, which will allow you to continue to use best practices and carry out your activities, reducing errors and improving performance. The adoption of the requirements set out in Annex SL, which have been introduced to ensure a level of consistency between all management system standards, offers the ability to facilitate the integration of part or all of other management system standards, if the organization wishes. The service sector organizations can now finally benefit from this standard. With the inclusion of explicit references to services, the standard is trying to reinforce that ISO 9001 is applicable to all suppliers, not just those that provide physical products. Through more efficient internal processes, you can increase motivation and involvement of all staff and maximize their knowledge and skills for effective performance. And finally, through better service, you can obtain valuable customers and achieve greater retention. Each organization will have to decide a transition strategy sooner or later. Let's consider some strategies suitable for small and medium organizations, the key steps of the transition process, and the effect of the strategy on the organization. It is convenient to have clear objectives for the transition in order to be able to then define the appropriate strategy for your organization. With a strategy that we might call cosmetic, your goal is to achieve recertification. It is a quick approach focusing only on those processes and documents to be updated. With a renewal strategy, your goal is to take advantage of this forced transition and use it to make significant improvements in your quality management system. With an integration strategy, you are not only sending a message of commitment to excellence to your customers, but are betting on improved efficiency and better performance management for your company. Given you look at your system and also consider the opportunity to integrate part of other relevant management systems, such as environment, health and safety, information security, etc. The revision of ISO 9001 is not only a key factor, but a good tool to improve the competitiveness of your company. The transition process can be effective if certain steps to carry out required adjustments are taken. The first step, and perhaps the most important, is to make an effort to understand the intent of the standard and not only the letter. This way you can make a proper analysis of the gaps and define the necessary actions. As with any process, it must be sufficiently planned to be effective and efficient. Staff involvement is key, but it is necessary to properly train it, especially those directly involved in the implementation of changes and adjustments. Major changes should be designed with risk-based thinking and leveraging of opportunities, which will facilitate their implementation. Always check the effectiveness of the changes made to ensure expected results are obtained. Once you are sure that the relevant changes are in place and work, you can contact your certification body and jointly agree a strategy for recertification. This time, the changes in the standard are more important than in the previous revision. The impact of the changes will depend on the maturity of the current management system and the strategic decision of the organization to integrate the quality management system with one or more additional management systems. Quite possibly, the most advanced quality management systems are already complying with the new requirements, and probably they already have implemented an integrated quality environment and healthy and safety system. The impact will be felt only if the organization decides to integrate more disciplines to the current integrated system or not. It will certainly be higher for organizations with a very basic quality management system, which simply complies with the letter of the standard and not its intention. In any case, care must be taken to preserve the coherence and compliance with additional standards, especially if these have not yet adopted the high-level structure. There is no hurry, but it is better not to procrastinate. Let's have a look at ISO's and certification bodies' calendars, and then we shall decide. As for the standards, all the preliminary stages have ended for both ISO 9001 and 14001, and the final standards are available since mid-September 2015. How will the publication of the new standard affect organizations currently certified to ISO 9001-2008 will mainly depend on their transition strategy and status of their contract with the certification body. 3 years after the publication of the new standard, all certificates to ISO 9001-2008 will lose their validity. Indeed, all certificates according to the 2008 version issued after the publication of the revised standard carry the same expiration date, which is the date of publication of the standard plus 3 years. So an ISO 2001-2008 certificate issued on, for example, June 10, 2016 will have as expiration date September 2018. There is then a need to take this into account when planning the recertification. A good idea is to plan recertification for the date of one of the pending surveillance visits. The standard has been formally published on September 15, 2015, and you will need to think about upgrading the management system of your company. So do not delay too much the decision on a transition strategy. Define and manage the risks and opportunities, plan on time, and take control of the transition process. Consider achieving greater efficiency by integrating your current management systems. You are welcome. Thanks for listening to these comments. We wish you success, whatever your transition strategy. For an effective transition to ISO 9001-215 or ISO 14001-215, don't miss our webinar, through which you can find out what could be your strategy and objectives, what steps to take for the transition, what to update, how to prepare your staff, how to tell if the changes work, how to prepare for recertification.